Morning, everybody. This is Jack Neal from Jack Neal Games. It's good to see you this morning. It's the first week of the new year, so I had a little bit of time this morning to go about and do a really quick demo of Charter City, which will be the next game that I end up releasing. It'll be released in February. It will have a physical release right off the bat. It will also have print and play capability. What you're going to see here is a draft of what the future will be. It's pretty close in terms of components. And I'm going to set this guy up right here, and I'll explain what this game is about as I'm setting it up, because that's what setup time is all about. So basically, Charter City is a game about profit through public works. It'll play within 30 to 60 minutes for 1 to 4 players. What you'll get in it, and as part of the print and play, and this is a draft of the rules so far, nothing terribly crazy, but this is similar to how the Rust and Revenue limited edition rules work. You'll have cubes, you'll have dice, you'll have some boards. The game is about you are trying to invest in companies that are involved in starting projects inside of a growing city. And what you'll end up doing is just like all the games that I end up doing, they'll end up being a couple different ways to play the game. We're going to show the just the vanilla game. I'm going to show the solo. It's playable up to 3 or 4 again, so you can have solos fill in players for a couple of the players if you wish. So I'm going to just keep on setting this up, and I'll explain a little bit of what everything is as I get through it. So I'll make sure everything shows up on camera reasonably well. So there's that. It's an arm's length. I'm actually reaching across the table a little bit. So what we're setting up is the board for running the game. We're going to have 3 bots. I'm going to be the natural colored cubes that you see here well, you might not see it because I actually have them on camera. But the natural cubes are going to be me. Pink is going to be a bot. Black is going to be another. But anyhow, you are investing in companies that are investing in a city. You're going to acquire shares, which will give you shares in these companies. You will charter projects, which are represented by dice, and you will develop projects that will be dice as well, that end up getting rotated up here in the project portfolio. So the values of companies are based on the value of what is in the project portfolio and the number of shares that are in it. For those of you who have played Chicago Express and Wabash Cannonball, this is very similar to those games. The differentiator is obviously there's no map. I'm not using trains as the metaphor to carry the game, and the sheer dilution is a little different from that game, but I digress. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up get our player cubes ready. We're going to have our company cubes, so we need to keep track of turns, and we need to keep track of endgame conditions. So what we're going to have is 5 endgame triggers here. So 5 conditions have to be satisfied for the game to end and final scoring to go through. And we're going to set up our action trackers because we can only have a certain number of actions per round. We're going to set up our company values, which match up to these dice that are over here. Probably wondering where the dice are. And we have many dice that are going to come with this game, which is one of the other reasons why this sort of takes the game more into a more involved print and play. Even though there's only a certain number of dice, not everybody's going to have this kind of combination. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the purple dice out. Purple dice are used to help out the lowest ranking company when it's the end of the round, and when the lowest ranking company is helped out as much as it's going to be helped out, it gets a subsidy die that boosts its power or revenue. So the idea will be, essentially, I'm going to try to keep these on camera because I have a tight setup here. Again, you got a nice little burlap bag as part of this too. We have more of the dice over here. So at a high level, there's going to be 3 players or 4. This game's 3. And black is going to go first, pink's going to go second, and I'm going to go last. We need to we have our white dice, which are going to be used to help decide the bot's decisions. And I will very briefly explain those in context as we go, but the general idea on doing any solo mode is to make it so it's easy to run and not get caught in a lot of decision trees, this, that, and the other. So every decision that the bot makes is going to be through 3 dice. Furthermore, it's going to be, you're going to act on the lowest value that's rolled in general. So there are 2 or 3 different rolls. There are types of rolls that are used for this game. But I will go through very, very quickly on what happens. So we're going to set up the opening shares. The leadership role or company choice is the lowest ranked company or actually best company to worst, from 1 to 4. If it goes to 5 to 6, then it goes out to the leader. So 5 to 6. Black represents a share with a cube, and they're going to take a share here. And pink's going to start out unconventionally with the blue company, which is the lowest value. And I'm going to choose green, and then black's going to go finish out what we have here. So each of us have a share in a company. Excuse me. Each player starts out with $8. Usually I play at with 6 for myself, but I'm going to keep it simple for this playthrough. And we're going to go through. We randomize the remaining dice that we have that match a company color, and we're going to roll them and put them in our available projects area. If I have a die that is a 5 or a 6, it gets flipped to a 2. And the final thing we're going to do is put over here in the bidding area what we're going to, when auctions come for shares, this is where we keep track of that too. It's more of a shorthand place for it. You don't need it for the game, but I mean, you can do most of it in your head, but it's nice seeing everything laid out when you're doing the game. So the object of the game is, in short, you're going to be adding dice to these companies. To do that, you'll need a share in a company. To get a share in a company, you're going to pick auctions, and auctions will decide. Person that's running the auction decides who gets to do it, or excuse me, which company that they're going to take and put up for auction, which they will mark on here. So if say black was going to do an auction on pink, they would put a cube there, a little green cube, as a reminder to say, look, this is the auction, it's there. The minimum value gets decided by this number that's in the square. It looks a little bit like a stock certificate, minus wherever this cube is. So 2 minus 0 is 2. So the company would start out at, the first bid would need to be at least 2. The first player gets to go through and they set the price for the auction. The key part of this is, unlike most auctions, this is only 1 round, and there are design reasons for doing that. But the way that the auction will go is that if a bot starts an auction, they roll the dice to figure out, well, first they're going to roll the dice to figure out what company they want. So in this case, if we go here, whoever it was, maybe black would go through when they auction and it's their turn. They want to go put up the green share. And they go through and they're going to set a minimum. If the dice are unique, you add the lowest value to the minimum bid. If you roll dice that have duplicates, then it will keep that value. If you roll duplicates when they are following an auction, they pass. So black would go through and do it 4. Pink would be next. They would bid 6, and I would say that's a lot of money, and I would pass. At that point, pink would get the share. She actually should put the green over there. I apologize. Kind of messed that up. But we're not really playing the game yet, so it's okay. And it's not a real playthrough video either because I didn't put playthrough in the title. So really everybody's fine. But in any event, Pink would get that share. They would drop $6 and play would continue. So that's the core decision point of the game. Each round, you'll have a variable number of actions based on two of these pawns getting over to the right side. So you may have a round that ends on the the auctions and charters. Maybe charters and developed projects will be done and used more often. So that's pretty much how to go. So I've talked a lot already. Let's go through. We'll start it up. Told myself I'd get this playthrough done within like 30 minutes. We'll see how close I come. So that's the game. Here we go. So, excuse me, first turn. Black's going to go. They're going to pick an action. They pick actions on this table down here. 1 for auctions, 2 for charters, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the lowest die will be for develop. If something is filled up, it goes to the next one. So we have ones. Black's going to go auction. And they are going to auction the second most popular company, which is green. It's going to go through, and they're going to start the bidding. The minimum bid is at 1. It's the $2 at that part of the track because it's at $4 overall, and it's going for this share. You'll notice that the shares are cheaper until the very end, and then they get more valuable. So Black is really going to bid 4 because 3 was the lowest. Living dangerously here. Pink, because I rolled duplicates, does not add to the bid, so I can take that for 5, and I think I'm going to. So I put my share there. I pay $5, and that's my turn. Next one, Pink. Pink's also going to auction because a 1 matches up to the auctions there. And they are going to still go after this company. So because green is at the 2 part and it's 2, the minimum bid, you can't get any lower than a 1. They will minimally start at 1. Yeah. So Pink starts at 1. I could do 2 to try to get more shares in the company because each round you're going to add up. You're going to do dividends, which is when the value of all the shares are added, figured out, and company or player holdings and cash gets added to. So more shares in good companies is generally good. So given that I still have $3, I'm going to go in at, I'll go in at 3. Black rolls duplicates. Didn't see it offline, or maybe you did off camera. So I'm going to blow a bunch of cash so far and go and buy this company or another share in that company. So Pink goes. I'm out of money and I can't do a share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charter a project, which very simply is taking a die from the available project and putting it into the portfolio for the projects there, or the companies there. If a color matches a company, it is worth more when the project is developed. For now, suffice to say, and I'll explain when we get there, I'm going to charter this project, and the value of the company on this track goes up by the totals that are here, plus 2 for every company die that is rotated, and that's part of the develop project action. Company's worth 5, I moved it up there. So there's that. Go back to turn order here. 3 would develop the project, but any of the companies that Black has don't have dice on them because I picked the wrong one. I also forgot to fill this back up again. Rough playthrough, but we'll get through it. So Black's going to do the final auction. And they're going to do it on the second company in value, which now is yellow. And actually, I picked the wrong company before, so I want that one. They don't need to have a share in a company to put an auction on it. So because they're doing the second, technically they're doing the red one. So red's going to go through. The minimum bid is $1, of which these are unique, so it'll do it a 3. Pink is going to raise that bid by 1. That's all that they have. 1 goes there. They drop their cash. So nobody else can take an auction action until the next round. Pink is going to, again, would develop, but they don't have a company that has anything there. They can't auction, so they're going to charter. The bots will always choose the companies where they are the leaders first to pick the best dice, and then if they're tied for anything for the lead, they will still pick the best one. And then if they are losing and they have no other options, they will pick the worst die for whoever they happen to be stuck with. The way that the dice are picked once you get the company is matching color, then any colored company die, then the black, and then the purple ones when they come out. So they did the charter. They have blue all to themselves. There's no blue dice, so they take the highest one here. They move it up. This company is now worth 6. Did I do the right? Yes, I did. So my turn through. I'm going to restock the available projects. 1 comes out. I want to go through and develop a project, which very simply is rotating a die. If the color matches in this row, you would increase it by 2, and then that would further add the value, but I don't have a green die there, so I'm just going to do that. So the company's worth 4 plus the die plus that value for 8. And that will give me better shares, values for when we do the end of round. Back to black. Black can't do a share, so black's going to do the next action, which will be a charter project. Black has its own interest all by itself in yellow, so they will take yellow. Yellow goes up to 4. Pink goes. Pink is going to take the last action of the round because it's going to be the last of the 2 of the 3 actions that are allowed to be taken per round. They will. It's always tough remembering how to reset the project board, but here we are. Pink's going to go through, and they're going to add blue. So when blue gets developed, it'll bump up an extra 1, and that'll go there. So we got through our first round, and now we get to score. So we're going to score shares up for each player. Whoever ends up getting the most money, tied or otherwise, will get a bonus at the end of the game, and then the cash resets to 8. So we're just going to go through and bounce through the values. So blue for pink, there's 1 share. It's not diluted because there's no penalty here, and it's worth $2. So pink goes up 2. Black for yellow, it's worth $2 a share. It doesn't have all these extra shares out, so it's going to go through and add 2. Once you get to 10, you go and you do your multiples over here on the cash track. I put all my money into green. Right now, green would usually be worth 3, but because all these shares are filled in, it's worth $1 a share. I'm hoping to get more, get this last share so that penalty goes away by the end of the game. Then black and pink here for blue or red, it's worth 1, 2 for this value, and then the holdings are 1. So black, because they were a little more disciplined with their money, end up winning the round. So at the end of the game, they will get $1 extra on their cash total. So everybody resets to $8. These reset over, and I will have the first turn in the next round. The project dice get reset. If there is a company in this lower part here of the board where it's only $2 a share, the lowest company gets a purple die. The purple dice cannot be developed, so it represents a government subsidy where government's interested in helping this project out, but it ends up not being very efficient in the long run. So, but yellow is now worth 6. And we're going to reseed the available projects. Got red, green, and black. Green's nice. We want to see green because so far we're going heavy on green. And we're ready to go. So, forgot who ended the last round. I'm going to let pink go. The joy of solo is usually no one sees you when you make mistakes, but I'm being recorded, so I am exposed. All right. Pink picks the auction share action, and the company they're going to pick is going to be based on, again, company order 1, 2, 3, 4 on the lowest die. They want in on green. Green is worth $3 for a minimum because it's 3 here, and this share will be worth that much for revenue. So pink keeps it at 3. I have a vested interest in getting this company. I could, because it's a single round auction, claim it for 8 if I wanted to, because then black couldn't outbid me. I'm going to keep it modest because you still can't go totally hog wild on things. You still have to keep cash for future rounds, and you still need to be somewhat careful and cautious about what you choose. I may want to get other shares this round, so I'm going to go and just bid 4. So if black rolls any duplicates, it's mine, and they do. So I get the last share in green. Because this track is filled up, one of the endgame conditions is fulfilled. So when the rest of these clear acrylic red cubes come out, there's a final, the game ends and the round is scored and the endgame bonuses are added. So I paid $4 for that share. Usually the bot isn't that nice to me, so it's pretty cool. Black's turn. They're going to develop, and black does have its own company to go through and develop. It can't develop the purple. It can develop this die. So it rotates it like a diamond. 3 plus 1, which is really plus 2 plus 2, is 8. For company order, it goes left to right, top to bottom. And so yellow is considered the leader at this point. Pink, they're going to go auction a share. And because yellow is the leader at this point, they are going to auction this share off. Yellow is worth 3. It's not diluted. It's a duplicate, so they're going to do 3. Yellow, to me, doesn't look like a good run just because it already, although it has a yellow share, although, you know what, I still messed this up because this was a yellow die. That's really there. So anyhow, so the value, I don't know if it could get all the way over to here. 2 of the yellow dice are already out. There's 3 of each color. So I'm still going to bid anyways because I want to bleed black a little bit. So we'll go to $4 here. And then black. Black, it's a unique roll. So it's going to win it for 5. So they retain ownership of their company. And it's back to me. Don't really want to auction anything at this point, although I do have some money. I think what I want to do is I want to just build on green. So we'll go here. I do a charter project. Green is now worth 9 or 4, 2, 2, 11. It's going to go up by 3. So it's up to 11. That's that turn. Back around. Black is going to develop again if it can. Red doesn't have any dice. All the dice that are legal for yellow to develop are already developed, so I can't pick that. So black is going to elect to auction. They have to be able to auction or afford any share that they do. The 5 rolls around, it's back to green. Green already has all its shares out, so it's back to yellow. And they're going to add 1 to this minimum bid. So yellow is worth $2 for minimum bid because it's 3 for a value minus 1 for the dilution. So black is going to go back up to 3. I'm going to hold off because I want to keep cash because maybe I can have a better shot at the end game bonus. And pink is going to take this company for 4. So everybody is pretty close on their holdings. And now nobody can auction for the rest of this round. Yellow's going to charter a share once again. Going to load up the value. I rolled a 6 off camera, so it's a 2. So they're going to grab a project. They're going to grab it for blue again if they roll it. Actually, you know what? No, they already, yeah. They have that one. So they're going to grab the 2. Blue is now worth 6, 7, 9. Yep, 9. And that's their action. Projects get filled up. It's a green die, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to go through and take it. So green is now worth 13. Back to black. So they are going to be forced to charter, which will end the round. They're going to take the highest colored one that they have a majority in. So they're continuing to go with yellow. And they will go for 3 there. And that's the end of round 2. We're going to go score it now. Blue is worth $3 a share and pink has 1 share, so they go up by 3. Yellow is worth $2 because of $3 for the value minus 1 for the dilution. So pink gets 2, black gets 4. All right, green now doesn't have a dilution penalty, and I have 4 shares in it, so I go up to add 12, so I'm at 16. And then black and pink have ownership in red, which is sort of hanging out there. Pink ends up getting 11. Black is at 9, I'm at 16, so I get the end game bonus for this round. We reset these dice. Red gets a subsidy, so they go there. We reroll what's in here. Again, we're up to round 3. The game ends when these triggers are there or at the end of round 3. So it's a short game. We're at 28 minutes, so I'm going to come in a little high on the video length, but that's okay. 5s turn to 2s. Red comes out. And it's pink's turn. Got to move all these guys over again. There we go. They're going to charter a project. Pink, again, has full ownership of blue. They haven't developed anything on it yet, but they got it. They get the colored die there, so they go up to 10. So blue, if they start developing, is going to be worth some money for them if they start investing in it. 5 turns to a 2, so market is flat. It's my turn. And we're going to add to green's value. So this is where if you have a matching color, this 3 turns to a 5, gets rotated. So green goes up by 4. Now I got $16 of revenue coming in every round, which is pretty healthy. That was the develop action. We go back to black. Black's going to auction. Should be interesting what they pick. They're going to pick the second best company, which is yellow. Yellow shares start out at $1. And that's what black's bid is going to be. Pink is going to let it go. So I could get that share for 3. And oops, forgot to reset these guys too. Yeah, I'll go in there on that. So I pay $3. And it was black's auction. So I have to work on the UI here for keeping track of whose turn it is a little bit better. There isn't really there's a couple different ways to do it. I just have to decide. All right, so we'll just reset those for later. Pink's going to do their selection. Pink is going to auction a share. They're going to go for the highest company, but the highest company already has all shares out, so the final share in yellow is going to be here. So really this is a pivotal one for black if they choose to pursue it. Pink is going to, so the minimum starts at 3, but pink's going to set it at 5. I can't raise it to 6, so I am out. Black is going to take it. Whenever a bot wins an auction, they take it for the minimal amount no matter what they rolled. So even though they rolled up to an 8, they can win it with a 6. So black keeps control of the yellow company. Yellow company is part of the endgame trigger now. And yellow is going to start making some money too. So black has some options here with this company, and if red ends up picking up, or if black decides to invest in blue and participate in that, it could get interesting there. So it's back to me. I'm going to continue developing because I have this nice looking green die. Goes to a 4, and the company value goes up by 4. So now it's worth $5 a share. Back to black. Black is going to develop, and because they have a majority in yellow, and because there is a die to develop in yellow, they rotate that red one. So now each share is worth $4. So it was a good play by black. Pink is going to charter a project. They have the majority in blue. Blue goes up by 2. Because it reaches the end of the track, it's an endgame trigger. Project market gets re-rolled. So I got a 4 sitting there for whomever. I think I want it. So that'll be there. The next endgame trigger ends the game, and there's a couple different places this could go. If green ends up, basically I'll be able to end the game on my turn, probably with the develop, because I have a little bit of extra here, and going to the end of this track triggers that end. So the game could end in 3 rounds, which isn't uncommon. Black is going to charter. I'm going to take the colored die. So that 5 turned to a 2 when I rolled it there, and then it's going over here. Yellow is worth that. Pink is going to develop. And I need to reload the available project market. Oof. So pink's going to develop. Finally, they're going to do something up here. So it's going to go up by 4. So do I want to end the game? Well, I would usually keep it going, and I would you'd probably try getting a share in blue because it's just worth some stuff there. For now, though, I'm going to mercifully end the game for the bots and develop black die for the green company, which would kick it past $26 for valuation. So that takes the last trigger. When the last trigger comes about, the game ends immediately. So the share values are, I forget. I had 2 auctions. I missed something. I'll have to go back and look at the video again. But I think the last one was in yellow. That's right. Black took it by 6, if I remember right. Okay. So here we go. Pink is for the blue company has $4. So they go to 12. I did forget to move these back too. It's early. I usually do these playthroughs at night. Yellow is worth $4 a share. So black goes up 12. I go up 4. Pink goes up 4. For green is worth 8 apiece, which is just ridiculous. So 32. And red goes up 2 for each share. So there's the 2, there's the 2. And I had the most cash out of that round. So that's the end of that round, the end of game scoring. You score for each one of these bonuses. Black goes up 1. I go up 5. So that is Charter City. It plays really quickly. The bot was easy on me this time. There are still a few things that I'm working through design-wise. For a little more of a challenge on my part, usually I start the game out with 6, so you could see why. And I'm doing that because I had a lot of extra money for shares to buy. Getting fully vested in a company is really powerful in this game. I've played at a couple tables with other players who weren't bots, and there's a lot of fighting over how this final timing goes for shares, because that is such an important share to get. So the bot usually does a pretty good job of doing it. Today it went a little heavy on auctions and chargers, but sometimes the play kind of surprises you and it comes through. So I hope you like the game. I'm gonna definitely post more about it as the days count up to February, but if you like what you see, there will be a print and play, and it'll be similar to how we did Rust and Revenue. The only difference this time is I'll be doing a direct release right off the bat for at least going through and buying a copy on itch. I'd like to be able to get in retailers again. Right now, Rust and Revenue is still out in those stores, so I could approach other retailers, or I could reapproach those stores based on how much they sold of Rust and Revenue. So we'll see how it goes. I'm making it up as we go. There may have been errors in this video. Again, I don't consider this an official playthrough. I'm not doing a massive edit. This was just to get something out that's a passion project on my part. So this is the first game of 2026. And it's been in development on and off for about 4 years. So it's pretty well set. There are a few other pieces that need sanded, but in general, it's ready to go. The other parts that you'll get when as part of the print and play and the again, just so you know, just like Rust and Revenue, you have sheet protectors, and your player sheets will be two-sided. So on this side, you have a company that never gets to that awesome last share for purple, but it's worth a lot. Another option, again, you can play this with 4. So move all these cubes out of the way. There's your 4 players, still the same number of actions, so it's a tighter game. You can go up to 6 triggers if you want, which makes for a little bit longer game. And then as part of the having that extra company, of course, it gets its own project track. And finally, for those who don't like all the rolling, you can go through and set up essentially each die, set them up randomly at the beginning of the game. And when you progress through the game, you go from left to right, top to bottom for the die that you can take. And the market is these 3 dice. So the idea is you're going to see at the very beginning of the game when all these dice are rolled how the markets are going to shake out. Like green, if anybody takes green, they're going to have a little bit of work, but those green dice are all front loaded. Red seems to be spreading it out. Yellow will come out here, but there's also no guarantee you'll get all the way to the end of this because these tracks might empty out. So the decision space is rich, and there's a couple different ways to play that I think really bring out different venues of the design without overcomplicating the rules. So this one is a lot more approachable to me than Rust and Revenue was, and they're both great games. I love them both. And Rust and Revenue was more experimental. This one is more traditional. So I will leave a link to the living rules in the video description here. I'm also going to have stuff up at Itch, obviously. Print and Play, P&P Arcade will also have the files when the time comes. Again, it'll be first week, it'll be $5, and then on Itch it'll be $5, or whatever you wish to donate. The physical version of this will retail and be available for $34. It is a little more expensive to produce because of the dice and the bits. Printing is a little bit mitigated on this part, but because of that too, the weight's also higher. I'm still going to keep the shipping at $5. So for domestic, 15 for international, 5 for domestic. So a lot of good gaming in this package. I think it's a good game. It's a good design, and I welcome you to try it out in your spare time. So thank you very much for following. As always, I hope you have a wonderful beginning of your new year. And thank you so much for following along. It's appreciated very, very much. Take care.